Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ Riesinger. 5 years after Billings became the first Montana city to vote down a non-discrimination ordinance, City Council could be poised to take up that controversial subject once again. Back in 2014, former Mayor Tom Hanel was the deciding vote, striking down the ordinance 6-5. Saying that the Billings community just wasn't ready. Well, last night, Councilmember Brent Cromley took the first steps to introduce a new non-discrimination ordinance. At the very end of the meeting, Cromley gave council members a month's notice, saying he will bring the initiative on October 14th. In a letter to council members, Cromley based his support for the ordinance on economics, arguing that a non-discrimination ordinance is vital if Billings wants to remain economically competitive. Back in 2014, non-discrimination ordinance was drafted from other ordinances that passed in Bozeman, Helena, and Missoula. At the time, it drew criticism from community and council members about the language prohibiting discrimination in restrooms and locker rooms.
And I know a lot of you will react badly to it at first, but I think you'll be convinced by the clear logic and the economic reasoning that I put into my background paper there. So again, it'll be October 14th. I'll bring the initiative.
Cromley's letter stated he intends to develop the language for the ordinance to be voted on by November. Well, you now have less than 3 hours to get your ballots in for both the Billings City Council primary and Shepherd school bonds. Completed ballots must be turned in to the Yellowstone County Elections Office by 8 o'clock tonight in order to be counted. Here in Billings, voters in 4 of 5 wards will narrow down the field to the top 2 candidates for City Council. And in Shepherd, voters will decide the fate of 2 school bonds that total $12 million to fund improvements and renovations to both the elementary and high schools. And we'll have the results of those elections coming up tonight at 10 o'clock. One man is dead after his pickup truck rolled on I-90 just around noon today, east of Billings toward Hardin. Montana Highway Patrol Trooper Justin Moran says a pickup truck pulling a trailer was traveling westbound when the trailer started to fishtail. The pickup lost control, entered the median, and rolled. The driver was ejected from the truck, died there at the scene. The passenger was helped out of the truck by witnesses and was flighted to a local hospital. Now, both occupants were males in their 60s. Neither is believed to have been from Montana. The men were not wearing seatbelts, we're told. And tonight we're getting a better understanding of what those living in Warden are dealing with after bacteria was found in the city's water supply, prompting the Montana Department of Environmental Quality to recommend people stop drinking it. Q2's Andrea Lutz is tracking this issue, asking officials what could have infiltrated the water supply and what's being done to locate the source.
Well, folks here in Warden, they're coming by. They're getting fresh gallons of water here at the MRC. That's because they can't even drink the water that's coming out of their taps. And while that's happening, MTN has been asking water officials in Warden about the future of the water supply. We're learning that by law, towns have to test their water every single year or month. And we're learning just how much testing Warden is actually doing.
He doesn't drink it, he swishes.
Yeah, I know.
In Warden, water worries aren't trickling away anytime soon.
I think with anything like that, you just sort of, I don't know, you adapt. Sorry.
And adapting is what families like the Switzers
so the bathroom is just
are doing.
To make it a little easier for the kids, we would get like gallon jugs.
Mom Darcy says since learning they couldn't drink their water, they've had to change some things.
5. Yeah.
And they've also installed this.
So this is what we've got going on now. It's just our reverse osmosis filter. You can see the different filters that it goes through there. It'll filter the water and then hold it so that you have a little bit more to work with.
Montana communities by law must test yearly for nitrates and every month for bacteria like E. coli. Recently, both were found in Warden's underground water supply. And now MTN is learning levels of nitrate have been creeping up higher and higher for some time. Finding the source is now the mission of the Warden Ballantine Water District, and they're even asking those on nearby well water to obtain a take-home test kit, one that looks like this.
And we're finding some wells aren't too good either. In fact, some of them are perhaps worse than what our city water was.
The water district uses chlorine to treat their water, but Fredericks fears other pathogens could also get into the water supply that are immune to their treatment.
So we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. We can't tell people to boil the water. We can't tell them that it's safe to use it at home.
He says they're trying to pinpoint the location of the source. And the Montana DEQ doesn't even require as much, but the district is taking some 500 samples a month.
They found pathogens in there that should not be in our water. That was very direct evidence that our water had been penetrated by a surface intrusion. It's purely speculation on our part, but we've seen 3 years of incredible snowmelt and runoff and incredibly wet springs. Where are they coming from? And is anything else coming in?
And until that's determined,
And then you can spit.
families like the Switzers will just have to keep using bottled water and making do.
Nobody's sick yet. And believe me, I know because there's 7 of us.
And Ward and water officials say that probably in the future they'll have to decide whether to build a water treatment facility. In Warden, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
All right, thank you, Andrea. And happening until 8 tonight, a water distribution event at the Project Mercantile store there in Warden. Yellowstone Valley Electric is giving away 4 pallets of water in 1-gallon containers. All right, turning to the weather now, Bob, we're seeing some gray skies out there and a lot of warnings in those clouds.
Yeah, it's a very active night tonight. Let me show you what's happening out there right now. We go to the Doppler radar. I look down at the bottom of your screen, down there by Matitsi. We're getting reports, early reports of possible tornadoes or funnel clouds developing in that area. They sometimes do that when they come down off the mountains. Not really a tornado, but sometimes they give the radar the look that they might be a tornado or something like that. So we're keeping an eye on that one for you. Look what's happening up in the mountains, though. That's a winter weather advisory above the 8,000-foot level. 6 to 8 inches of snow expected in that area. Up in the northeast corner of the state, heavy rain the next couple of days means there could see some more flooding in that area. Plus, down in Wyoming, that's a tornado watch until 9 o'clock tonight. So very active. You'll notice the Doppler radar and our high-resolution forecast model shows here in Billings. Could see some spotty showers move through early on this evening, but then it's just light rain after that. Then watch what happens on Wednesday. Here comes all the heavy rain, and get ready. We're going to probably see quite a bit of rain. In some cases, up to anywhere between an inch to maybe 1.5 inches across eastern Montana. We'll have more on that coming your way in a few more minutes.
All right, thank you, Bob. Well, nearly 500 travel bloggers arrived in Billings today to write, post, and blog about the Magic City to their millions of followers. The Travel Blog Exchange Conference, hosted by Visit Billings, a group managed by the Billings Chamber of Commerce, offers attendees a more intimate look into how visitors can experience Billings and the state of Montana. Today, some of the bloggers were given a tour of downtown Billings, allowing them to see a glimpse of the art, food, and culture that Billings has to offer. Just below the rims, Molly Schlitz, the art and culture coordinator of downtown Billings, says there are plenty of hidden gems to show off in the Magic City.
From all over are coming to Billings to see everything that we have to offer and experience our culture and write about it and blog about it and go back to, every corner of the United States and even the world.
I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and I never ever thought I'd be in Billings, Montana. It's really great, and hopefully I can share it with my readers and they'll want to come too, and not only want to come but know where they should go, where they can eat, all the places they can see, the experience of a hometown feeling.
Well, the conference is 4 days long, ending Friday with a grand party at the historic Billings Depot. A final opportunity to showcase the region and all it has to offer with dino digs, a mini brewfest, historic tours, and music. There's much more news from across our state on the MTN 9 o'clock news. Here's a look ahead. The National Bison Range keeping wildlife a priority, but giving a little extra comfort to visitors too. Find out how on the CW tonight at 9. But first, still to come on tonight's 5:30 news, the dangers of vaping, a nationwide concern, and Montana health officials issuing warnings of their own, and vape shop owners are firing back. Then later in sports, we head east for a look at one of the best quarterbacks in the state who's dominating the six-man field.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 5:30 news on Q2, Montana's news leader.